Labour MP Emily Thornberry joins us now. A very good morning. Thanks for joining us. What do you think of the fact that is the Prime Minister right not to rule out, because you can't rule anything out, not to rule out another national lockdown if it became necessary?
I'm afraid that's right, and we do need to keep all options open because we have no idea what's going to happen next to this pandemic. We're not out of the woods yet. Yeah, I think it's 1 in 13 people have COVID at the moment. Fortunately, very, very, very few of us have it badly, but there's a lot of COVID about, and we just don't know what the next variant is going to be like. So it is entirely responsible of the Prime Minister to say that he can't take all options off the table. You don't hear me say that very often, but I would say that this time it's right. He's behaving responsibly in saying that he can't promise that there won't be another lockdown, because no responsible politician could say that.
OK, so you're being nice about the Prime Minister. What about the Chancellor in all of this? There's a lot in the papers today about his wife and her non-dom status. And just to put a point that Philip, who's emailed in this morning, says Mrs Sunak has done nothing wrong. This is just another bash the Tories on a pointless, non-law-breaking point. What do you think?
I'm not saying that Mrs Sunak has done anything legally wrong. I just wonder about a number of other things, though. I think, first of all, many people listening to this will think to themselves, I don't understand why it should be that somebody who's been living here for 8 years, bringing up her children here, is living in Downing Street in a taxpayer's flat, presumably aspires to be the wife of the next Prime Minister, is not paying tax on all her income, but only paying tax on a part of it, because she says that she's not here on permanent residency. That's a very odd thing to be happening. And what's important about this is not just the kind of unfairness of that, is she lives with the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who's responsible for non-dom rules, and he's never declared publicly that she is a non-dom. And there might be a conflict of interest in that. He's asking us all to make sacrifices. He's putting up taxes for everybody else, but he's not really asking for his wife to make any particular sacrifices. That is the sort of thing I think that should be in the public sphere. It's in the ministerial code that we should declare what our spouse's financial interests are, and the reason for that is because of this thing about potential conflicts of interest.
You normally, or in normal times,
if you think about,
yeah, go on.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, like, for example, there might be a discussion in the Treasury about changes to the rules for non-doms. Because, as I say, if you look at individual cases, you might think that, well, the rules are all very well, but the way in which they seem to be being applied isn't necessary. It flies in the face of common sense very often. So there might have been discussions in the Treasury about potentially changing that. Was Rishi Sunak involved in those discussions? Did he recuse himself? Did he say, well, I can't because of a conflict of interest? When his family are benefiting from taking advantage of these particular rules. Do you see what I mean? So
but it was, forgive me, I may be wrong, but my understanding was that it has been declared in the Register of Interests.
No, it's not declared in the Register of Interest. He did speak to the Cabinet Office about it, but he didn't do what he should have done, which was to declare it in the Register of Interest. And the Ministerial Code is quite clear about this, that it is not a red herring what your partner's finances are because of potential conflicts of interest.
Just one more point then. There is a cost of living crisis at the moment that most ordinary people are terrified about. The idea that there was a report out today saying so many people are actually frightened to open their bills when they come through the door now. Is it acceptable to have a Chancellor of the Exchequer who is so unbelievably rich?
I don't think that we should say that because somebody is unbelievably rich that they don't have a role in politics. I think that's not fair, and it shouldn't be the way that we go about things. But I do think they have to work that much harder at it. I think that they need to make sure that they really do listen to people, listen to what it is that people are saying, not have a tin ear. Now, it is harder for somebody who is unbelievably rich to understand the lives of ordinary people, but it's not impossible. But as I say, they do have to work hard at making sure that they do get it. And my worry is that this Chancellor shows far too often that he doesn't get it. You know, when we talk to him about the cost of living crisis, we've said to him, for example, about, you know, the crisis when it comes to heating and the cost of heating. And he doesn't seem to have had any idea as to what we should do. So we've said to him, look, the VAT that the government is getting from these heating bills is now huge because the heating bills have gone up so much. So, you know, give that back to consumers. Have a windfall tax on the energy companies who have more money than they know what to do with, you know, who say it's like a cash machine. I mean, they're saying this. And we should have a windfall tax and then use that money to help people on low and middle incomes to be able to pay these bills. This is about £600 a year, and we've costed it, we've wrapped it up, we've given it to the Chancellor, and we said, look, if you don't know what you're doing, here's some things that you could do. And he still has refused to do it. You know, what they have been doing for us is so minimal. It shows, I think, a cloth ear, and so therefore I don't believe that he's working hard enough at trying to understand the lives of ordinary people.
Emily Thornberry, thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning. Thank you.